All right, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to this panel discussion on the afternoon slot of CAT 25. So, for this session, we have panelists lined up from across the country. We have Megha Trivedi, Senior Verbal Faculty from Time Indore, joining us to give us inputs and insights about how the VRC was in the CAT afternoon slot. And we have Vinay Raj from Time Bangalore on ground at the center, giving us he's the head of quant in Bangalore, and he's going to give us the inputs about both the quant and LRDI sections. All right. So without any further ado, let's quickly go to Megha Trivedi to understand how the VRC was. Megha?
So thank you so much. So the VRC section of CAT 2025, we are talking about slot 2. Now the exam can be considered to be of moderate difficulty. That's my view. Now talking about VRC, we know that we have 24 questions. So we have 4 RCs followed by 4 questions each. So we have 16 RC questions, and the rest we have VA questions. If I talk about VA
These 16
questions,
RC questions,
yeah.
Megha, these 16 RC questions were from 4 passages, as you said,
Yes,
and equally
yes,
distributed with 4 questions each, right? So
yes,
in terms
yes,
of
sir.
overall structure per se, 16 plus 8, 4 into 4, 16 plus 8 VRC questions, no difference compared to last year, correct?
Yes, yes, sir. It
And
was
also,
exactly the
folks,
same. Yeah.
yeah, exactly the same as last year. And also, folks, exactly the same as what we have seen in the morning slot. Please continue, Megha.
Yeah. Now, first, let's talk about verbal ability questions. So we had 2 questions on para summaries, and they were MCQ based questions. 2 questions were asked on para completion, again MCQ. 2 questions, they were on odd sentence out, and it was theta. Both these questions were theta based, where we need to type the answer in the tab. And 2 questions on parajumble. So we can see that parajumble is coming back this year, which they did not ask last year. Parajumbles, both the
Yes,
questions, they were also, yeah.
there were no para formation questions last year, which was a surprise last year. So what
Yeah.
you're saying is para formation questions made a comeback again, which is again, folks, what we saw in the morning slot. The distribution again within the 8 verbal ability questions was exactly similar in the morning slot and the afternoon slot, which was different from what was seen last year because of PFQs making a comeback this year, which were absent last year. All right, Megha, please continue.
Yes. So parajumbles, again, they were theta-based questions where we need to type the answer in the tab. Now, again, this year we had no question on grammar. We had no question on vocabulary or critical reasoning. Uh, if I talk about passages, they were diverse, quite varying in length and complexity. The
What were
questions,
the topics that these
yeah.
passages were from, Megha?
Yeah, so we had 4 passages. For the first passage, it was a slot which I went through. It was on fish. So it was science-based, ecology-based passage. Overall, it was easiest, according to me. It was worth doing, quite doable. The second passage was on books. It was talking about reading habits, publishing. It was easy to moderate, which was a good next pick, according to me. We
Okay.
also had one passage on AI, artificial intelligence, which was more about technology, ethics, its impact. And
Okay.
I can rate this passage as moderate.
Okay.
But these were the 3 passages. Apart from that, there was also one passage on literature, which was on landscape geography, which according to me was difficult. It was quite dense. Mostly questions, they were based on inference. So language was quite dense according to me. So
So
all these,
essentially make a too easy to moderate and
yeah.
therefore
So we
must
can
do kind
say
of
that,
passages.
yeah. So we can say that while some passages were relatively easy to read, others, such as the one I was talking about, that is on geographical location, it was quite dense, and questions had tricky options.
Okay.
Yeah.
So passage area wise, we had 2 passages from science, so to say, science and technology, one from AI and one what you mentioned about the passages on fish, and 2 passages which are social slash culture related, which is
Culturally.
one on books,
Yeah.
and the other is the last one that you mentioned,
Yeah.
which is also in a way a social passage from the social areas, social
Yeah.
kind of split category, so to say,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
questions were all based on critical reasoning. So we can't find a single question which was asked directly. So there
Okay.
were no questions on central idea. There were no questions on tones. We had questions based on inference. There were some questions where we need to eliminate three options first, and only then we can reach to the right answer. So
Okay.
some questions were quite time consuming, according to me. So question
Okay.
selection turns to be very crucial for students in this particular case. Attempting around 10 to 12 RC questions with high accuracy, according to me, can give good score.
Good score. Okay. So were there any passages where the passages looked or fairly easy to read, but they were tricky questions?
Yeah. The AI one was very easy to read.
Mm-hmm.
You can understand the passage well.
Mm-hmm.
There is no need to read it for the second time. But the
Oh,
questions, again, the options were quite dense. So,
okay.
yeah, and you again need to eliminate three options to come to the right answer. So, I thought it to be quite easy, but later I realized that questions, they were quite close. Options were
Okay.
quite close, yeah.
Okay, okay. So essentially, to summarize the RC part of the VRC section, you're
Mm.
saying that there were two kind of fairly doable passages and
Yes,
two kind of tricky passages.
definitely.
And what would be the passage lengths, Megha, overall in terms of number of
So there were like,
count?
if I talk about two RCs, which were quite dense, I think they were around 100 words, 1000 words. And
1,000, that's fairly long.
yeah, it has to be 1000 words somewhere around. And
Mhm.
two passages, they were relatively short. So they were around 600 to 650 words. But again, questions, they were like tough to do.
Tough to do.
I would like
Okay.
to add one more thing, Ramnath. Here, there was one passage on evolution of telescopes, Galileo, and how the technology is only receptive in that.
Okay.
And whereas compared to biosciences,
Mhm.
technology is not only receptive as well as interventionist, because there can be splits. You can use the spectrum to the visibility is only VIB-GAOR, but they went beyond the VIB-GAOR range. They included infrared and other parts of the radiations to detect.
Okay. We
And how
we are
it is.
getting we have thanks, Vinay. So that means you're also talking about the technology passage that Megha was referring to earlier,
Yeah, I mean, I
which
was being more
Yes.
specific about this.
which
Yeah.
does I got that. So which the way you put it, Vinay, kind of makes it sound fairly dense overall to read and understand, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
nothing
Okay.
was easy to read,
Okay. So
except
there's one.
that cave fish, like ma'am has said, cave fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
How the eyes in the cave fish have vanished. They've
Okay.
evolved to let go of the eyes to
Okay.
adjust to the lack of resources in the caves.
Okay. There's a comment from one of the students who is watching this video. He's talking about a question. Says milestone scalpel kitchen
Correct.
stove.
Which of the
Wo-
following was not fitting into the
Okay.
technological description that is
Okay.
given? One of the
Okay.
milestone, there was a kitchen, actually microwave oven, kitchen oven,
Okay.
scalpel.
Okay. So that was a
Yeah.
fairly tougher, one of the
Yeah,
fairly
tougher because
questions.
for first impressions said that all four, we didn't know how to pick the odd man out in that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So yeah. Okay. So the student is asking us to answer that question, but folks, I think this was put in by Pramit Barui, but without seeing the actual question, it will be fairly
Uh,
difficult to actually arrive at.
I went simplistically with no technological device in milestone. So the
Okay.
option chosen was milestone. I'm not
Okay.
sure if I'm correct.
All right, all right. So I guess that's what the student also indicates. Maybe he also, I assume, has went with milestone only. So that seems to
Okay.
be the right answer from it. So let's hope that is the right answer, so that you get a positive score on that question. So with that, I think it's time now to move on to the quant and LRDI part. So we'll now move to Vinay and ask him how the LRDI section was. Vinay.
LRDS section was tough, difficult, no doubt about it. A couple of notches are more difficult than the last year.
Okay.
It brought back haunted memories from 2023, where everything was difficult. So
Yes, yes.
So
So you would
although
you
it
believe,
was very likely that because there were 5 sets, there
mhm.
were 3 sets of 4 questions each and 2 sets of 5 questions. very similar to the last year, exact replica of last year.
And also similar to the first slot this year, folks. We have seen
similar to the first
2 sets of 5 questions and 3 sets of 4 questions, adding up to 22 in the first slot this year. So the same thing is what Vinay is confirming has appeared in the second slot as well. Please continue, Vinay.
Yeah. So, but nowhere in comparison with difficulty level of last year. There was at least one easy, outrightly easy set last year. There was two sets which can be categorized as medium minus. But for a prepared candidate, that was solvable. I mean, 2 sets were definitely doable by most prepared candidates. But
this
nothing can be categorized last year. But vis-a-vis this
Yeah.
year, nothing can be categorized as easy. If at all, I can say one was medium minus. The least difficulty level was M minus.
M minus. Okay. So
M
now,
minus.
just to put this in perspective with what we have seen in the morning slot, the morning slot had one definite must attempt set, which was again not categorized as easy, but easy to moderate. Now, based on what Vinay is telling us, we now understand that there is no such easy to moderate set. What the easiest of the sets was just a tad lower than moderate, right?
And
was this easy to identify, Vinay?
It was easy to identify because it was easy on the eye also, because there were 6 balls, B1 to B6, and they had to pass through 4 hoops. And only if the balls dimensions were less than or equal to the hoop, they would pass through this.
Okay. So it's a
comparison.
Comparison.
Yeah, comparison. And
NLR set straight away.
Yeah, NLR set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that probably is the easiest set, but still I would rate it M minus, not easy to moderate.
Okay.
Because you can get the description, the language was such that only 4 statements, and you have to battle with those 4 statements. And if somebody sees through the link, then you can easily arrange them in ascending order of radii or dimensions. And also, accordingly, the hoops dimension also can be derived. There were 4 questions in this.
There were 4 questions. Okay.
Yeah. And the second set, which was probably a student should have looked at, some bit of DI, Quant, and LR all put together was there. That was the sustainability index of a few countries. And
so would you put that as a quant-based reasoning question?
It is more DI with a little bit of percentage skills from quant topic.
Okay.
Where you had, there were relationship between, first of all, you had to read the graph, x-axis, y-axis. X-axis depicted the percentage increase from 2016 to 2020, and y-axis depicted the percentage increase from 2020 to 2024 for 6 countries.
Okay.
And all was in terms of percentages. And you have to read from that. And then they had given a range. Range for 2 years was 60.
Okay.
And they were all distinct integers, not distinct, they were integers from 1 to 100. And if somebody had thought of 1 to 100 as a range, that would have been a huge range. But if you use the percentages idea, you have to link the values from, let's say, something increases by 50% and then followed by 25%.
Okay.
So you can start with 2x and then it becomes 3x and then becomes something else. And then it has to be an integer in that range. The only way it can work out in that particular range has to be unique values.
Okay.
So
it does sound fairly complicated. It does sound fairly complicated when you explain it and we do not have the question in front of our eyes. But for those of you who have taken the test, I think you would understand what Vinay sir is explaining here in terms of the approach. What sir is basically saying is that if you happen on this approach in the exam, then you would be able to save time. But otherwise, if you look at it as a range, then it is going to be tough for you. All right.
Yeah. So well said. I mean, perfectly put. I'm not with that.
All right.
But of course, a prepared candidate would have thought about taking those values.
Right.
And since none of their questions cannot be determined, you're very sure of the answers. And there had to be unique solutions to each of these countries' values.
Okay. But I think not having cannot be determined is also help in disguise. Wouldn't you say that, Vinay? Because that would kind of force the student to see that, hey, I need to get an answer for this. So maybe there's something wrong in my approach.
Yeah, possible. Yeah. You can read it this way as well.
All right. Okay. So what about the other 3 sets, Vinay?
The other set was disguised as DI with numbers given. It was like there were 4 authors who have authored papers. And the categories were single author papers, 2 author papers, 3 author papers, and 4 author papers.
Okay.
And The list gave us how many each of the 4 authors had 1 author paper, 2 author paper, and so on.
Okay.
And as well as the other table, how many papers of 1 author, 2 author, 3 author, 4 author were given.
So there were 2 tables the students need to look at
Yeah,
in this.
2 bar graphs. Yeah.
2 bar graphs. Okay. So there's a set on bar graphs, but you're not calling this to
No,
be
but
easy.
it actually turned out to be a combination of Venn diagram and PNC.
Okay. So that's bar graphs, Venn diagrams, and PNC. So multiple
PNC,
things
all
coming
put
together at
together.
the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So
which
that
means if you see 3 author paper of 4 people, it should be 4C3 where there are 4 values.
okay.
So if you had written that down using the knowledge of PNC, then you probably would have found a way.
Okay. Okay.
This is again categorized as difficult.
Okay.
So there's that sustainability index is medium plus.
Okay.
The boxes and hoops is medium minus. The other 3 were difficult.
Okay. Okay. Now we have seen, I see that one of the students has said that the hoops one was easy. So maybe it was easy for him, exactly what you were saying earlier, moderate to easy, slightly M minus is what you've said, which is what the students here also are agreeing with.
Yeah,
And
mostly this would have caught the eye of many students because of short description, and it looked like a comparison. So therefore, there are high chances that many students would have solved this. And this is the only set people would have found comfort in. Otherwise,
and were there any questions? Were there any questions where students could have cracked at least a couple of questions in the sets without having cracked all the entire set, so to say?
No, that was missing. Yeah.
That was missing.
But in fact, I used the data, the options in one of the questions to narrow down my values in that sustainability index set.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay. That could have been done.
That's what one of the students here is referring to in terms of narrowing down. He says one question in the SI set could have been done. I think Arun Tyaga is saying that could have been done without cracking the full set. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So,
in fact, you could have used that options in one of the questions to crack the whole set. But if you've done the groundwork, initial groundwork properly.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But overall, definitely a notch. I mean, couple of notches higher than last year, because last year they were direct and they were direct. No, they're pure DI.
Okay, so that is the kind of feedback that we're getting when we compare this with the morning slot paper, folks. Compared to the morning slot, also the LRDI section in the afternoon slot seems to be tougher. As Vinay was saying, it was tougher compared to last year. And compared to morning slot also, the LRDI section seems to have been gone up in difficulty level, which means the cutoffs would be pulled down because of this. All right. So Vinay, now let's move to the quant section. Let us know what your input, insight, feedback about the quant section is.
Quant section, like I said, I kind of feel it's at least a notch higher than last year. Maybe I had an off day in the office. Don't know, but I found a lot of maxima, minima questions.
Okay.
Maximum questions.
We're getting kind of mixed feedback on the quant section. In general, people are saying that it could have been a bit easier. It could have been a bit tougher. Meaning, it's not that they are kind of varying too much, but essentially, most of the feedback seems to be that very similar to last year, but slightly tougher, as you've put it, or very similar to last year, but slightly easier. So the key operative word there is slightly, which means on an average, maybe we can kind of peg it very similar to where last year's paper was. So also
some new types of questions from numbers.
Yes.
Where you just
throw some insight on that.
Just the knowledge of numbers concepts would have not been sufficient. You had to think out of the box to arrive at the answers. Like some of the digits was asked in one of the questions. Some of the digits, and the moment you and an huge expression, 2 power, let's say, excuse me, sorry, 8 power something into 5 power something else. Then you have to find the sum of the digits of a large number. Plus, there are number of factors of the form 3k plus 1.
Okay. So the expression itself would have put off many students, wouldn't it?
Yes, no doubt.
Okay. So definitely not even if student was very good on numbers, he would not have straight away picked that question and got it right.
Correct. Yeah. And one more question, like say 2m plus n is equal into 2n plus m is equals to 27. What's the maximum value of 2m minus n?
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
So
the moment you see maximum and given m and n are integers.
okay. So
And you have
now,
to think of negative numbers to come out.
correct. So which means numbers seems to have made a comeback, but not so pleasant a comeback for many students, because while the overall, if you look at the cat history, numbers was kind of ruling the roost a while ago, which and it recently seemed to have gone out of fashion with the cat authorities, which is because of which and we are saying this because the number of questions has dropped more or less to one or two. Now, in the morning slot, we have seen only one question from numbers, but in the afternoon slot, we have three questions from numbers. But those three questions seem to be on the fairly tougher side, based
Yeah.
on the input
There
that
was
we are
no
getting from.
PNC question in the second
Yes,
slot.
and there was one PNC question in the morning, which is again a contrast with the afternoon slot, where there was no PNC, no questions basically from modern maths in the afternoon slot. All right. So, how about the inputs on algebra, questions on algebra and
There
arithmetic,
was
Vinay?
one inequality questions fairly comfortable using the options you could have done. Then
Okay.
9 to the power of 3x square, the product of all the possible values of x quadratic, not a comfort looking quadratic. This we have seen in
Okay.
2023. It's
Okay.
back to that level where
Okay.
it's not
Okay.
easy in the eye. You have to
Oh,
labor it out.
2023. The mention of 2023 brings some demands into the minds of many people because of its heavy, tough factor. So,
Yeah.
so you mentioning 2023 would not go well fairly with many people here, but I see where you're
But
coming
yeah,
from.
unlike 2023, where there was not a single question which can be categorized as easy, there are
Right.
three at least here as very easy, which can be
Oh,
done by
very
any
easy.
prepared. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
very
time and
easy
work one
questions are very easy questions are a rarity, Vinay. So that I'm actually
yeah.
fairly glad that there are some very easy questions also in this quant section,
Two or three.
despite some very difficult questions also. So essentially, I think it boils down to the question selection ability of the student, and which
Yes.
obviously boils down further to the amount of preparation that students have put in terms of being able to actually pick the right question to solve. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. So, anything else, Vinay, from let's say algebra
Yeah.
or
Geometry.
arithmetic?
There were three questions. There were three
Geometry.
questions from geometry. One question was
Okay.
tangents. Two tangents
Mm-hmm.
drawn from a point, and there was a third tangent drawn in between, in the middle, between those
Okay.
two. That's a question from our study material itself.
Oh,
And we had
great.
to
Okay.
ask the angle. We had to find the angle given some angle.
Okay.
The second
Okay.
the second question was on hexagon. Hexagon
Okay.
where midpoints are drawn, trapezium is formed.
Mhm.
The area of the trapezium with so formed as a ratio of the total area of the hexagon. And the third question
Okay.
from
So
geometry was
sounds to be fairly straightforward if one knows the formulas
yeah.
for the. Yeah. Okay. Right.
No, but
Okay.
no, not straightforward. You still had to do that. You had to draw the trapezium and understand what could be the. It's a small trapezium drawn.
Okay. So, and there's
Okay,
a comment from somebody. What's the answer of the question on the tangent question? Would you remember, Vinay?
that I don't remember. I mean,
Okay.
tangent
All right.
question. It was 50.
Okay.
Okay, 50 was given. 50. Wait, I mean, I'll have to
That's all
recollect.
right. That's all right. No problem. I think whoever
And,
put that
and
comment
there
in.
one more question which required us to draw, make constructions, and then find the ratio of sites, and using
Okay.
the basic proportionality theorem twice. That is again our handout question,
Okay. Okay.
but notch higher than what we have.
Okay. Okay. So it's fairly gladdening that, as you pointed out in one of the earlier videos that we did for the afternoon slot, that there are two sets in the LRDI section from our material, and now at least one definite question. And as once the actual paper comes out, we'll be able to come out and inform you how many total questions are actually very similar to our fairly directly from our material. All right. So one last question to Megha. Megha, from the odd one out questions. So when you said mentioned para completion earlier, I'm sure you meant sentence placement questions where
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
okay. So now we have got feedback slot that in the odd one out questions the instructions were different for each of the questions. Is that correct?
So I did not notice that.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
All
No,
right. So
I don't think so, Amnath. It was not there.
Hmm.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that seems to be different in slot 2. We'll have to
Okay.
see, wait for the response sheets to see if there is any consistency that the CAT authorities have maintained across slots. All right. So,
Yes.
folks, that's all we have for this discussion. Please head to our percentile estimator, utilize the percentile estimator input to know your CAT percentile estimated number right now. You don't need to wait for the response sheets. You don't need to wait for the CAT percentiles to come out. Input your number of attempts, input your expected accuracy. We hope it'll be in the very high 90s, if not the 80s, and make sure that you get your percentile estimate today instantaneously. All right. We have detailed section analysis videos. We have one video for each of the 3 sections, followed by the overall and cutoff analysis videos that we'll come up with very shortly. So stay tuned. Log into our analysis page, highereducation.com/cat2025. You'll have a lot of inputs, information along with the percentile estimated there in that page. All right. So thank you very much. All the best. And thank you, Vinay and Megha.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you
Amnath.
so much.